Information fueled.
Opinion driven.
This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
6:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And there is a lot going on. Appreciate you being here. Nashville's Morning News. So, yes, the House of Representatives has passed the big, beautiful bill. And this was the moment that Mike Johnson announced that, Speaker of the House announced that it had passed.
On this vote, the yeas are 215, the nays are 214, with one answering present. The bill is passed.
I want to know who voted present. That's a real
Massey.
Was it Massey?
I'm not
No,
sure.
I guarantee you Massey would have voted against it. He's not a present kind of guy. He is I'm a nay. There were two nays amongst the Republican Party. Apparently there were two nays and everybody else was either two nays, one present, and everybody else voted for. I'm trying to find out exactly what was in the final bill. No tax on tips or overtime, apparently. I'm seeing Twitter. $175 billion for deportations in the wall, tax relief for seniors, and making his 2017 tax cuts permanent. And, of course, the other thing that they're going to be doing is raising the debt ceiling, but now realize that it's going to be going to now the Senate. And then the Senate's going to have their own version of the bill. Then they're going to have to go into reconciliation, and who knows what the end result is going to be. Also, I don't know where the salt tax is. Yesterday it was, at $40,000 per. And I don't know if that has now been raised because the Democrats wanted that salt tax up towards $120,000 a year. It's crazy. And so I don't know where all that is. I'm trying to find all the details. And as soon as, some of these representatives actually read the bill that they voted on, maybe we'll be able to find out what is in these thousands of pages. Yeah, it is sad. I mean, I would be interested in, if I got one of these guys on the phone, and I'm not disparaging them, but if I got them on the phone and I asked them some of the specifics of what was in this bill, I do wonder if they would be able to answer some of these specifics that I would be asking. But I'm assuming they have raised the debt limit and some of the other things that I just mentioned. And we'll see if we can find a checklist for you as the morning continues to unfold. It is 6:08 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Couple of things. And then we're going to get into the Peter Doocy audio and how he has been calling out President Biden for a long time. A lot of the commentary from Cringe Jean-Pierre has certainly not aged well. And so we'll cover that here momentarily. But I am also going to cover, did you see the press conference yesterday, Joan, with the South African president in the White House?
Oof.
That was a humdinger.
That was uncomfortable to watch. I can't even imagine what it was like to be in the room.
Well, and here's the deal, and I'm going to get into all of that coming up at 6:35 here on Nashville's Morning News. But a lot of people are noticing that the media is using the term ambush, that President Trump ambushed the president from South Africa. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more because it's right there in the talking points. There's actually a meme going around about all of these different headlines. And clearly the talking points they have been told to use the talking point that our president ambushed the president of South Africa. We're going to talk about that, whether or not it was an ambush. I don't care about that. What I love is that the President Trump, he could give a rat's behind about diplomacy at this point when it comes to certain leaders. Now, we're going to get into the specifics at 6:35 on what exactly is going on in South Africa. So that is coming up at 6:35 here on Super Talk. And again, the breaking news is that the House has passed the one big, beautiful bill. Now, Peter Doocy, we've all been talking about what is going on with the blame game, the cover-up, and how all of these members of the media, whether it was Biden's cognitive decline or whether it was his cancer, we don't know what the media knew or didn't know. But I think that what they have done, clearly, in my opinion, was willful. They deceived or tried to deceive the American people. And that was obvious. Now, you have Jake Tapper and all of these other people out there saying, oh, we were lied to by the White House. We were lied to by the president's staff, Joe Biden. It was so incredibly obvious. And so the media is trying to play Mickey the Dummy when the reality is there really was, all during the time of Joe Biden's term in office, there's one guy that was asking all of the pertinent questions, and that was Peter Doocy. But first, this commentary from this morning, this headline: Biden White House visitor logs reveal which Democrats participated in the cognitive decline cover-up. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries made 21 visits to the White House, yet perpetually said that Joe Biden was fine, no problems, sharp as a tack. House Democratic Whip Catherine Clark, a Democrat out of Massachusetts, Representative Pete Aguilar is also named in this article, and also a representative out of the state of Washington named Suzanne Debine, I believe that's her name, also made dozens of trips to the White House. They knew. The Democrats knew, because you think that Hakeem Jeffries and Pete Aguilar and Catherine Clark and these other folks, you think they weren't talking? Of course they were. Now, Jake Tapper has become the poster child for out-of-touch, narcissistic, and horribly, in my opinion, corrupt journalists who are now profiting off of their own deceit. Now, remember the audio that I played for you yesterday? Big segment on the show yesterday where Jake Tapper was getting obliterated by Megyn Kelly.
But I'm telling you, like, over here in my ecosphere, we were covering all of these. It wasn't just falling down. It was getting lost. It was some of the stuff you report in your book. We knew, and we were reporting on, like the multi-jump cuts in the videos of him, where it was obvious he couldn't get through a 1-minute take. So they had to use those. It was clear to us that he was using teleprompter, and there was some reporting on that at the time, all of which the White House was denying.
Let's just stick to the facts here, okay?
Jake, that's what I've been doing all along.
I'm talking about what you just said.
Didn't miss the biggest story of the century when it comes to presidential politics, and one of us did.
Woo, boy. I'm going to make that one of my ringtones. Because I love that so much. Fewer people, by the way, new polling out now. Fewer people are buying Team Biden's efforts to play down reports that he was mentally declining as president, believing instead that his aides and the media engaged in a cover-up to hide Joe Biden's failings. So now the polling is coming out, and clearly people know that the media was part of this cover-up. The pollster said 44% of voters believe that Joe Biden's mental condition was already going downhill before he even got elected in 2020. 41% disagreed. 60% believe that he would not have been mentally or physically capable of doing his job had he stayed in the 2024 race and beaten Donald Trump to win a second term. Well, that's what I've been saying all along, is that the Democrats wanted to somehow get him over the finish line. Then, of course, they could install Kamala Harris as America's first black female president. So I just played you the audio of Jake Tapper under fire for his deceitful reporting, and now making money off of that deceitful reporting with his book. The exact opposite of Jake Tapper is one Peter Doocy, and I've got really good audio from Peter Doocy coming up next. It is 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. The weather goes today, high of 77, mostly sunny as well. Right now, 62 degrees at Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. So Doocy yesterday comes out swinging against the likes of Jake Tapper and others who refused to cover the Biden White House like he did. So he posts all of these instances of him actually asking tough questions of cringe Jean-Pierre as she and the rest of the White House covered up the president's clear cognitive decline, like the time that Biden said he was sharpest before 8 p.m.
So say that the Pentagon at some point picks up an incoming nuke. It's 11 p.m. Who do you call? The First Lady?
He has a team that lets him know of any news that is pertinent and important to the American people.
She sounded so defeated. One of the things that I'm noticing, Joan, is that Karine Jean-Pierre, she was not only, as we all knew, terrible at her job, but I think that she knew that she was lying. She had to have. She had to have. And so when you look at Peter Doocy, his questions aged really well because he was asking all the right questions. Yeah. But she just refused to acknowledge what we all saw. You know, it's interesting, too, because when you look at the Biden White House, there were always instances of lies. There were always instances of obfuscations. I mean, take the border is secure, right? Take the Border Patrol whipped those Haitians. Take, obviously, what we're talking now, which is the president's clear cognitive decline and them denying it. So everywhere you would look within the Biden administration, it was lie after lie after lie. And so Doocy has all of these posts. And again, part of what I noticed is that Doocy's questions were pointed and succinct.
At a fundraiser this week, President Biden told donors about how Charlottesville inspired his campaign, and then according to the pool, a few minutes later, he told the story again nearly word for word. What's up with that?
And the answers from Karine Jean-Pierre were just terrible.
He made it very clear as to what he saw in this country and what was going on.
And so the president, showing clear cognitive decline, told the same story, the same exact story, word for word, twice in like a 5-minute period. And Karine Jean-Pierre is like, well, yeah, it's because he feels so passionate about it. No, he forgot that he said it the first time. And here's the thing. The more we learn about this cover-up, the worse her answers become. I mean, we all knew that she was full of BS. I mean, I was right here every single day, whether it was in the afternoons, in the midday, whatever. And we all knew that she was lying. It was clear. But here's the thing. We knew that at the same time that she was lying and telling us that the president was okay, we could see with our own eyes. And so then the question becomes, who made all these bad decisions? I mean, think about all the bad decisions over the past 4 years when Joe Biden was in office. I mean, the border, the failed pullout of Afghanistan, drumming all of these military people out of the military, these veterans, because they refused to get the vaccine. I mean, I could go on and on. Who made all of these reprehensible decisions? And so it was the perfect storm, the last 4 years. It was the perfect storm of a terrible press secretary trying to cover for a presidential administration, trying to cover for a president who was getting worse by the day. Here's more.
How is President Biden ever going to convince the 3/4 of voters who are worried about his physical and mental health that he is okay, even though in Las Vegas he told a story about recently talking to a French president who died in 1996.
Yep.
I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole with you, sir.
What is
We're
the
going
rabbit hole?
Go ahead.
He said he talked to Mitterrand.
Go ahead. You saw.
Why would it be a rabbit hole? Like, I'm still asking this question. Why would it be a rabbit hole? That is a perfectly legit question.
The president in Vegas, in California. You've seen the president in South Carolina. You saw him in Michigan.
Oh, yeah. We saw him all right. Remember when Biden said he'd spoken to that long dead French president? She calls it a rabbit hole. And it wasn't a rabbit hole. It was clearly a sign. And it was a sign that the American people picked up on. Unless you're a member of the esteemed Washington media. And then she, of course, gets all sanctimonious about it when really she was part of the cover-up.
President Biden is the oldest president in U.S. history. Why does White House staff treat him like a baby?
No one treats the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, like a baby.
Well, that was a claim that was made in a book that Biden at the time was fuming that he wasn't being treated like a president. He wasn't being treated like John F. Kennedy. He was being treated like a baby. And again, she gets all sanctimonious about it. And then there was the time that Peter Doocy asked Biden directly about his memory.
In his report is that Something the special counsel said in his report is that one of the reasons you were not charged is because, in his description, you are a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been president. I put this country back on its feet. I don't need his recommendation. That's
How
totally
bad is your memory, and can you continue as president?
My memory is so bad, I let you speak.
I mean, absolutely brutal. And so I think part of what that really does show you is that Peter Doocy is not only obviously calling out the rest of the media, but by posting those videos of his exchanges, interactions with Cringe Jean-Pierre, it also shows that she clearly was part of the cover-up. But some have said that they actually feel sorry for Cringe Jean-Pierre because she was in a no-win situation. Well, if you're in a no-win situation, then get out of that situation and actually tell the truth. What a concept. 622, Nashville's Morning News. The Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Joan Jones has the news at 6:30. Joan.
Yeah, I dug into the details, and we know now who voted for, who voted against, and who voted present on the big, beautiful bill in the House of Representatives. All those details and what was included and not coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.